Africa has given the world some of the best ever footballers. But despite Raja Casablanca and TP Mazembe reaching the final of the Club World Championships, their clubs are often left out of the limelight. So today I'm putting some of Africa's best clubs in the Premier League, swapping them with last season's top 6. So will any of them finish above 15th in the table? Well, no, but Al Ahly weren't a million miles away. But hopefully they'll be joined by some promoted teams next season, as I've also added the 12 other teams from last season's African Champions League, as well as a few others into England's football pyramid. Sadly though, none of the African teams from the Championship got promoted, but 8th place Zamalek from Egypt were not far off. Belouizdad came in 16th place, Raja Casablanca in 20th, but there are 3 teams relegated to League One. However, in League One, Pyramids from Egypt win the title by a point from Portsmouth, and Orlando Pirates lose the playoff final. You've also got Kaizer Chiefs in 14th, and Mimosas in 16th, but Cotton Sport and Vita Club have been relegated. So I think if we're being fair, the very best clubs in Africa are probably similar to a championship level club, although some of them have massive reputations, so might be able to attract some very decent signings and actually get themselves into the Premier League and establish there. And 2 of those teams could be South African side Sundowns and Egyptian side Al Ahly, as they come 15th and 16th ahead of teams like Norwich, Watford and Blackburn. Let's just all ignore the 2 points that Simba got for the worst Premier League season on record. Interestingly though, they have appointed Jesse Marsh as their manager for their beautiful 60,000 seater stadium. I'm a fan of that. We will have a 3rd African side in the Premier League next season though, because Zamalek have been promoted in 2nd place in the Championship. Pyramids had a very good season after their promotion, and ES Tunis, just behind them in 15th, had a decent one too. Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs have both been promoted from League One, but it is a 2nd relegation in a row for Cotton Sport to drop out of the Football League into the National League. Cotton Sport are a side from Cameroon, and apparently this is a 30,000 seater stadium, but they've got £51 million in their bank balance, so I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how things are going so badly for them. Sadly, next season, the sun is setting on Sundowns as they get relegated from the Premier League alongside Zamalek, but Al Ahly are actually doing a good job as they finish in 13th place, another improvement. They will be joined by Pyramids, who get promoted from the Championship by coming in 2nd place. But 6 of the league's bottom 9 are African clubs. In League One, Wydad Casablanca end up losing the playoff final to Derby County, as Mimosas and Horoya AC get themselves relegated. But it's good news for Vita Club fans as they win League 2, and Cotton Sport seem to have stabilised in the National League. We are seeing some big differences in these clubs. They all play in the African Champions League, but Cotton Sport are down in the National League, whereas Al Ahly are doing very well in the Premier League. They're actually exceeding my expectations so far. I thought we would have seen them all drop into League One, but they are doing way better. Shouldn't have spoken too soon, should I? Because next season, Al Ahly and Pyramids both get relegated. Luckily, Zamalek and Sundowns are both getting back promoted, so we are going to have 2 teams in the Premier League next season. ES Tunis also finished in the playoff places but didn't get promoted. But at the other end of the table, Kaizer Chiefs stay up at the expense of Orlando Pirates and Simba. We have a double promotion in League One with Kabylie and Casablanca, but also a relegation with Vita Club. There's a double promotion in League 2 as well, as Horoya and Mimosas get themselves back to League 1, but Cotton Sport miss out on the Vanarama National League title by goal difference and then lose in the playoffs. That must have been so painful. In Season 5 though, Zamalek have the best performance we've seen so far, finishing 11th in the Premier League, and Sundowns avoid relegation. They'll be joined by Al Ahly, who win the Championship, but also Kabylie, who get 2 promotions in a row. There's also promotions from League 1 for Petro de Luanda, who have an incredible stadium in Angola, and it's another season of playoff defeat in the National League for Cotton Sport. But that might have just been an exceptionally good season for the African clubs, because the year afterwards, we have 3 relegations from the Premier League and Zamalek just hold on. Pyramids lose in the Championship playoffs, so no one gets promoted, but no one gets relegated. But Orlando Pirates get relegated from League One, and Cotton Sport lose in the National League playoffs again. Not really an ideal situation. I reckon what we do is we jump forward a little bit further this time to season 15 to see if anyone has established themselves as a Premier League club. So in 2037, Pyramids and Kabylie are there, but they have been relegated. Pyramids have been a yo-yo club for quite some time. They get promoted, have 2 seasons before getting relegated. Kabylie, on the other hand, are very much a one and done situation as they get promoted and then get immediately relegated every single time. And dropping into the championship, Al Ahly have won the title and Zamalek have also been promoted, so this really does like the African teams are just yo-yo clubs between the championship and the Premier League. Again, looking at Al Ahly's history, they really are just a definition of a yo-yo club, and it seems like Zamalek never reached the highs of 11th place again, as they also just seem to bounce up and down. I mean, who would have thought it? The African football clubs are basically Norwich, which is quite the insult to African clubs, I think. I do apologise. There are 4 other African clubs in the Championship, which I think is pretty good going. There are 3 clubs in League 1, and they all finished in the top 7. There are 4 clubs in League 2, as Raja Casablanca get promoted, but Kaiser Chiefs get relegated. Well, they'll be joining Al Hilal, Haroya, and Orlando Pirates in the National League. Sadly, we haven't seen anyone win the FA Cup or the League Cup, but if we look at the Checkatrade Trophy, Simba beat Birmingham to the title in the 2026-27 season, Belouizdad won the title in the 31-32 season beating Wrexham, Mimosas beat MK Dons in 34-35, and Petro de Luanda lost it the season afterwards to Chesterfield. Mimosas also actually lost the title in the 23-24 season, but we don't like to talk about L's, we just focus on the dubs. Oh, bless them, Carlton Sport actually also won the FA Trophy, which is like the non-league FA Cup. The thing is, the next 25 years or so is just a lot of the same, clubs being yo-yo clubs. The year is 2062 and Pyramids and Kabylie are both in the Premier League, and Pyramids for a long time were a yo-yo club, but did have a little bit of a sustained spell in the Premier League, with the highest finish being 9th. Sadly, that wasn't enough for European football. Else we could have seen an African team try and win the Conference League, which would have been so cool. Kabylie, on the other hand, are still very much a yo-yo club. We've still got 3 clubs in the Championship, but the Championship as a whole looks completely different, with clubs like Crawley, Hartlepool, Wrexham, and Notts County all doing pretty well. Al Ahly were once the best African team in England, but they've dropped down to League 1, albeit they have just been promoted. But they've only had 2 seasons in the Premier League in the past 20 years. Some teams just haven't been as lucky though, because Orlando Pirates have actually dropped below the Vanarama National League North and South into a league that we don't actually have available data for. At least they have a great stadium to play in England's 7th division. Only 1 team made an FA Cup or a League Cup final, and that was Kabylie in 2056-57, which they lost to West Ham United. And so that really was the closest any African club came to qualifying for a European competition. So we never actually got to see how an African club would do in Europe. But who knows, maybe we can try this experiment on a more European-wide scale in the future, and hopefully then we might see an African team win the European Champions League. But what about the England national team? What if they played in the Premier League? Would they go on to win the title and a Champions League? Well, if you want to find out, you need to watch this video on screen right now.